2012 was a giant year in sports, both figuratively and literally. It featured Eli Manning taking down Tom Brady, Michael Phelps and Usain Bolt dominating the London Olympiad, and oh yeah, a king was crowned. Here are the best moments of the 2012 sports year, brought to you by the great folks at TheRealSportsTalk.com.
And in overtime, Demaryius Thomas, an 80-yard touchdown pass from Tim Tebow on the first play. It had to be John Elway putting on the chapstick on the sidelines before the overtime period began. And the Denver Broncos have advanced, and they will take on the New England Patriots 1 week from today. What an incredible game we just saw with the Saints and the 49ers. The Saints came into this game 13-3. The 49ers were also 13-3. Technically, the Saints were 14-3 after last week's game. And you want to talk about one of the most incredible back-and-forth games that I've ever seen. We just saw as the 49ers come away with a 36-32 win.
We just got done watching the New England Patriots and the Denver Broncos game. Patriots are at home, of course, taking on the Broncos, and this was pure domination.
Some sad news today, and as a Penn State fan, this news is even sadder. Joe Pa at age 85, I think from a combination of all that's gone down over the past few months, the lung cancer, the chemo, the radiation, everything, has passed away at age 85. And this became apparent at about 3 or 4 o'clock today when a lot of reports started coming out that were saying that Joe Pa was in serious medical condition and that he probably had about 24 hours to live. Normally, if nothing had happened over the past few months, we would just be sitting here praising this guy and talking about what a great coach he is. And there's a lot of people, myself included, who think that if he was still the Penn State coach, he might not have died. I truly think that there became a point when you have cancer, and I'm not trying to disrespect anything, but if you have cancer and you're going through all this, you think about, okay, what do I still have something left to accomplish in the world? And Joe Paterno really, honestly, does not. I mean, I don't mean to put it in a way to make it sound like I wanted the guy to die, but what hasn't he done? The New England Patriots, for the first time since their infamous loss to the New York Giants in the 2007 Super Bowl, are going back to the Super Bowl. They will represent the AFC in Super Bowl 46 after a 23-20 win over the Baltimore Ravens. Let's go.
AFC Championship game is officially over. The New York Giants versus the New England Patriots at Super Bowl 46. Tim, we're going to bring you right in here, then I'll get my comments here in a little while. Tim, give me some your reaction to the game.
It was an absolutely incredible game. Today I came home, and it really didn't look like there was much to make a video about. There's some Peyton Manning stuff that really looks like he's not going to be staying in Indy. But then, I was listening to the radio, they said, breaking news, Prince Fielder has landed in Detroit with the Tigers, following in his dad Cecil's footsteps. He will become a Detroit Tiger on a 9-year, $214 million contract. The New York Football Giants, and this is paining me as an Eagles fan to say this, have just won their 4th Super Bowl. Maybe not on a game that was the best overall game we've ever seen in the Super Bowl, but as far as the finishes goes, that was a pretty incredible finish, and I think that most people would tend to say if Rob Gronkowski was healthy, the Patriots might be Super Bowl champions on one of the best plays ever. Instead, he just misses that ball, and the San Francisco Giants, the New York Giants are Super Bowl champions. Manning, after 14 seasons in Indianapolis, I mean, this, if you would have told me this 10 months ago, that Peyton Manning, after just signing a 5-year, $90 million extension, which I said at the time seemed like quite a bit of money, even though everyone else seemed to think it was more of a discount. I said for a guy that's in his mid-30s, that seems like a lot of money. And ultimately, we know how the season went down. I don't think anyone foresaw the Colts being that bad this season, and they ultimately ended up being only 2-14. And what did they start? 0-12, 0-13, something like that. So it took them quite a while, and it really showed how much that Peyton Manning meant to that team. As far as him actually getting released, it's not that I didn't know it was coming, because the Colts could not go ahead and pick up that 4 years remaining on the deal for $70 whatever million that is left on that deal. It would have been bad business, and that's ultimately what this is. It's a business decision. And while you love to keep your star players, and I mean, Peyton Manning goes far beyond being a star player. This is one of the top 5 quarterbacks to ever wear a helmet in the NFL. So, I mean, it goes far beyond being a star. But you like to end pretty with those type of guys, but ultimately, you have to do what's best for your team for the long coming. And maybe Andrew Luck is that. From what I've seen from Andrew Luck, I think he'll be a solid NFL quarterback. I don't think he's going to be a top 5 quarterback. That's from what I've seen so far. I don't know. I wasn't high on Cam Newton, though, either, so, and that looks pretty good right now. We're talking to Adam Rank of the NFL Network. Let's switch over to the Saints bounty program now. This was really the news that got taken off the front page after the Peyton Manning release came out a couple days ago, and for the Saints, that's actually a really good thing. What was your opinion about this entire deal?
Yeah, was there any team more excited about this Peyton Manning news on the Saints?
I don't think so.
I don't know if Archie was calling in some favors and be like, hey, look, I'm going to help out my old team. I'm going to have Peyton announce his retirement, that, his split with the Colts. We'll get the heat off of you guys. But yeah, my initial reaction with this whole thing is when all this went down with the Saints, my first thought was like, well, Mark Goodell is trying to, he was upset with the low level of play, the almost passivity of the Pro Bowl, and then he had Greg Williams going the other way. I'm like, well, just have Greg Williams coach both teams in the Pro Bowl. Problem solved. And I didn't think it was that big of a deal when you think about it, because you're like, okay, he's encouraging people to just play hard, and this goes on in the league. But when we've had a chance to kind of step back and really look at it, and you look at the hits on Kurt Warner in the playoffs, you look at the hits on Brett Favre in the playoffs, and you start really thinking about this. I got a chance to interview Brandon Lloyd on our podcast, the Dan Damashek Football Program, which is available on iTunes. We were able to talk to him, and he talked about being targeted by people, and it really brings a kind of a human element to it, that these guys could have been, ending careers here, and it is a pretty serious offense, and I think Greg Williams is going to need to be disciplined, because this looks like a history of this type of behavior. And I know the Colts former coach Tony Dungy has expressed that maybe, hey, this is something that could have hurt Peyton Manning, way back in 2006, and I think maybe that's stretching it a little bit too far, but the league really needs to stop this right now, to put this to rest once and for all. Greg Williams should have at least a year suspension, and all the other players, Mickey Loomis, Sean Payton, probably going to miss a couple of games as well.
Guys, what's going on? I'm Tim, he's Nate. This is the Real Sports Talk. We are from none other than the Lehigh Valley, and guess who just beat the shit out of Duke? The Duke Blue Devils, the team that every year I cannot stand more than pretty much, they're right up there. No, I'm not even going in that direction. I hate Duke, let's put it that way. But everyone was picking Duke to win this game, including me, including everyone. We laughed at people at our school who were picking Lehigh even to think about winning this game, being in this game, or anything. And to be from the Lehigh Valley and have this happen, C.J. McCollum puts a team on his back, and the Lehigh Mountain Hawks have beaten the Duke Blue Devils in what is, in my mind, easily the biggest upset in the history of the NCAA tournament.
Oh my God. Just insane, Tim. I mean, McCollum, 30 points tonight. 30!
Against Duke.
That's insane.
If you haven't heard, I really don't know where you've been, because you're not a real NFL fan if you haven't heard this by now. Peyton Manning is set to go sign a 5-year, $95 million contract to join the Denver Broncos. This has numerous ramifications on the entire face of the NFL who is viewed as a Super Bowl contender, where other quarterbacks are going to go, including guys like Alex Smith, Tim Tebow. Sean Payton getting suspended for a season over this stuff is nuts. But let me read some of these statements that were made by Roger Goodell and overall what suspensions are going to be handed out. Greg Williams, who was the defensive coordinator actually doing this stuff, was suspended for indefinitely, and it will for sure be this season. Now I would assume that, Roger Goodell's always been a second chance type guy, that he will be allowed back in next year. He was the Rams defensive coordinator, so he's at least going to be gone this year, and who knows what else after that. Sean Payton has been suspended the entire season, as I said, and technically, from what we know, Sean Payton really didn't have much to do with this at all. Mickey Loomis has been suspended for the first 8 games of the regular season next season, and assistant coach Joe Vitt has been suspended for the first 6 games. So, the NFL did not take this lightly. At about 8:30, it came out that Tebow had been given the choice by the Broncos, which is a nice gesture on his way out of town, although some people disagree with how they've handled this, and that some people believe they screwed Tebow over. I think if your team had the chance to get Peyton Manning, they'd probably do that too. The Kentucky Wildcats have just completed a 38-2 season with a 67-59 win over the Kansas Jayhawks to become your national champions. While Kansas had Robinson with 18 points, 17 rebounds tonight, that was not enough, as Deron Lamb's 22 points and 2 rebounds along with 3 assists matched up with Anthony Davis's 16 rebounds and 5 assists, along with 6 more blocks. That was enough for Kentucky to get the job done and become national champions. Nate, quickly, give me your thoughts on this game.
Well, Tim, my thoughts is Robinson had a great game and had the game he should have, but one guy cannot make a team, and that's what Kentucky proved. Kentucky has so many guys that are just so good on the offense and defense that they don't have just one playmaker. They have a whole team of playmakers, which is why I think they won this game.
Derrick Rose today against my Sixers had a very nice game, but late in the game with about 1 minute and 10 seconds left, Derrick Rose took an awkward fall off, I believe it was Elton Brand, when he went to make a pass out to the perimeter. A lot went back and forth for the last few hours about his status. NBC Miami reported that he had torn his ACL and his MCL, but later took back that report and said that it was premature. The Chicago Bulls have now reported, and they've confirmed the report that Derrick Rose has torn his ACL and is now out for the remainder of the playoffs. I came home and saw the extremely shocking and unfortunate, I don't even know how to phrase it because it just caught me so off guard. News that Junior Seau, a former linebacker who has spent a majority of his career with the Chargers, was a superstar there, has bars named after him, the whole 9 yards, spent some great years in Miami and New England as well, that he had died and police were investigating it as if it were a suicide. It's been a bad week for ACLs. We begin with Derrick Rose and Iman Shumpert last week, both tearing their ACL on the same day. I said on Twitter last night that I really didn't hope that this was the way that one of the best closers of all time's career ended, and I don't know if it will be how it ends. We'll get to that in a second. But it turns out that he does have a torn ACL, and he is out for pretty much the entire 2012 season. LeBron James has just been announced as having won his 3rd MVP in his 9th season in the NBA overall. This is his first one in Miami. If you have not seen what the San Antonio Spurs have done, chances are that you got a front row seat of what they've done throughout this entire playoffs and really this season tonight. And it has been impressive. What they are doing right now as they complete their 19th straight win dating back to the regular season is one of the more impressive runs that we've seen in a playoff in any sport or in any sport in general in a long time. If you told me that the Thunder were going to come back and take a 3-2 lead in the Western Conference Finals, I might have said, I don't see that happening, but it's possible. If you told me that the Boston Celtics were going to come back and take a 3-2 lead on the Miami Heat, I wouldn't have believed you. And yet, here we are. The two teams that started the conference finals down 2-0 are now up 3-2, and we are 1 win away by each team of seeing a Boston Celtics versus Oklahoma City Thunder NBA Finals. As I predicted at the beginning of this season, the Oklahoma City Thunder, for the first time in the history of their franchise, at least as far as the Oklahoma City Thunder part is concerned, obviously they were the Seattle Supersonics, and I feel really awful for the people in Seattle right now, but for the people in Oklahoma City, this is a great thing. It's the Oklahoma City Thunder are headed to their first NBA Finals in the franchise's history, behind another huge game from Kevin Durant. And the Real Sports Talk has some breaking news coming in from Hova. Jay-Z has decided to redo a verse of his song, Paris. I think you guys all know what that's actually called. He is changing it to Jackson, Tyson, LeBron James, Game 6. After tonight's huge performance from LeBron James, 45 points, 15 rebounds, and 5 assists. And this is why when people say that he's a terrible playoff player, no, he's not. I'd like to take a minute to pat myself on the back because about 8 months ago, I don't know if it was that long, I'm just making up a number that sounds nice, I called the Oklahoma City Thunder versus the Miami Heat, and here we are on June, whatever day this is, I think it's the 8th, and the Miami Heat have advanced to the NBA Finals with a big comeback win where they just dominated in the fourth quarter to beat the Boston Celtics and headed their second straight NBA Finals. All the hate after all the back and forth on YouTube with me at times defending LeBron James, at times criticizing LeBron James, and that goes across the board with a lot of people. After all the Skip Bayless, after all the other-sided guys that were in defense of LeBron James and the Miami Heat are champions behind Bill Russell award-winning, Finals MVP winning LeBron James. Let that sink in for a moment, guys. There's got to be no more memes of I have as many rings as LeBron or anything like that, because the one thing that was really lacking in LeBron James' repertoire and what he had accomplished throughout his career. I mean, he was a 3-time MVP, he had won a scoring title, pretty much every award imaginable. He'd been to the finals twice, and he had came up small at least one of those times. I think the Cleveland time, he was just in over his head. He is an NBA champion. Breaking news here at 1:54 a.m. on the East Coast in the morning is Ken Rosenthal's reporting that after a 3-game winning streak and much speculation throughout this entire offseason, throughout this entire season, that Cole Hamels could potentially get traded because he would not get a deal done. He's getting a deal done, and he is getting a huge payday. Cole Hamels will become the second highest paid left-handed pitcher in the history of the MLB, passing Yohan Santana and falling just behind CC Sabathia. He will sign a 6-year, $137.5 million deal. Justin, the Angels acquire Zach Greinke. Let's think about all the scary people they now have in this rotation. Jared Weaver, C.J. Wilson, who's having probably the best season of his career. You got Ervin Santana. Who am I missing? I'm missing somebody big.
You got Ervin Santana, Garrett Richards, C.J. Wilson, Dan Aaron, and then you got Zach Greinke in this pitching rotation.
Yeah, so Garrett Richards will likely be out of the picture, won't he?
You can say that, but I think the Los Angeles Angels, what they're going to be planning on doing is they have a decision to make right here. Are they going to put Garrett Richards down in AAA for the Salt Lake City Bees and have him work on his pitching mechanics, or are you going to give him a shot and keep him up at the major league level, put him into the bullpen as a middle type in reliever?
Hello, once again, what's good on the internet, what's good in life? The name is Li495. You think I was just going to let those opening ceremonies, as magnificent, as spectacular, as artistic, as grandiose, as British as they were, just go by without doing a recap video? You're whistling Dixie, you got another thing coming.
Nate, you got to see it, I didn't, because the NBC decided that even though they have 2 stations, NBC and NBC Sports Network, that they're going to tape delay Michael Phelps and Ryan Lochte, the duel in the pool, whatever you want to call it, that everyone has been dying to see the first round of this. It's live. I turn on NBC, and they're talking about girls' gymnastics. I turn on NBC Sports Network, they're talking about horse racing. So, you did get to see it. Explain to people where you watched it live and what transpired.
Well, Tim, I've been using NBC OlympicsOlympics.com for all my coverage for London 2012. It's amazing. You go to NBCOlympics.com and on their above, menu bar, they have an area called Online Listings, and from there you can pick any sport from the whole schedule of the day, and while it's playing, you can watch it live. YouTube has partnered with NBC to make this possible, and that's how I got to see this amazing race where Ryan Lochte the kid came out of came off the chute and he just dominated. Each 100 of the 400 IM medley, or IM swim, I guess, Lochte just dominated Phelps, Thiago, and Suzuki, who were 1 or 2, 3, and 4. Ryan Lochte missed Phelps' world record time by less than 2 seconds.
Again, my Phillies big sellers this year. They have traded away Hunter Pence in addition to Shane Victorino to the San Francisco Giants. A record-breaking performance today by Michael Phelps. We begin in the 200-meter butterfly today, where Michael Phelps won his silver medal. And Nate, what did Michael Phelps accomplish by winning this medal?
Well, so with the silver medal, Michael Phelps became the second Olympian to reach 18 medals. So he was tied with a former Soviet Union gymnast in that standard, I guess you could say, and that made him one of 2 people to hold most medals in Olympic history, which would technically make him one of the 2 greatest Olympians to ever walk the face of the earth.
Now, I think most people are already under the impression, and maybe it's because he's in a sport that I guess gets more attention than gymnastics, and it's been more recent. I believe pretty much coming into this that being in 3 Olympics already, dominating in 2 of them, that Michael Phelps pretty much already was the greatest Olympian of all time. But in his second event today, the team event, the United States wins the 4x200 meter relay. Michael Phelps gets his 19th medal, and that sets the record, right, Nate?
Yes, John, that's correct. Michael Phelps now is the sole leader in the all-time medal count for an individual.
Michael Phelps goes out on top, and it's a fitting end to what is one of the greatest careers, not only in swimming, it is the greatest career in swimming, not only in the Olympics, but in just sports in general. Michael Phelps is one of the greatest overall athletes that we have ever seen, not only in America, but just in general. Tonight, Matt Gravers, Brendan Henson, Michael Phelps, and Nathan Adrian in the USA defeat Japan. They just beat out Japan and Kosuke Kitajima of Japan, who were not that far off. Adrian really got them the big lead. And the United States, with Michael Phelps, they go out on top here at the final swimming event of the Olympics, I believe. And Michael Phelps, to me, is going to go down as one of these athletes that is in the same class as the Michael Jordan type guys, the Joe Montana, Jerry Rice type guys, where he is one of the untouchables in sports history.
The 100-meter men's final at the London Olympic Games is indeed in the books, and the result is all too familiar. What's up, everybody? What's good? Real Sports Talk. What's good on the internet? What's good in life? What's good in sports? What's good at the Olympics? I'm Akeem Balaam, a.k.a. LI495. So it turns out that all those predictions and everything that I had said and everything that a lot of people had said about Usain Bolt pretty much saving his best for last until this very 100-meter final, all that turned out to be true, because even though in the preliminary rounds he had a 10.09, this was not exactly a 10.09, it was in fact a 9.63, which originally was scored as a 9.64, but turned out to be a 9.63 for Olympic champion, once again, Usain Bolt, as once again he wins the 100-meter final.
Usain Lightning Bolt becomes the first man to ever repeat in the 200-meter dash. He repeated Sunday, I believe it was, in the 100-meter dash. He became only the second behind Carl Lewis to ever do that, and now he becomes the first person to ever repeat in the 200. I mean, really, it was incredible, because you see how fast he got out of his blocks, and halfway through, you pretty much knew that he was going to win. Yohan Blake, who finished in second, another Jamaican, and also Warren Weir, who finished in third, also from Jamaica. They both made a charge late, but in the end, Usain Bolt wasn't even sprinting across the finish. And that's one of the things that just makes what he does so incredible. People doubted Usain Bolt coming into these Olympics. What does he do? He becomes the second person in history to repeat at the 100 and the first person ever to repeat at the 200, which really leads to the question, and it's probably too rapid of a reaction right now to really answer this, but it leads to the question, is Usain Bolt potentially the greatest runner in Olympic history? Carl Lewis is obviously there, but knowing that Usain Bolt has said he wants to come back for at least one more Olympics, and probably not anymore after that, but he hasn't ruled it out. I saw it in an interview with JR Sport Brief. I wouldn't put it past him to win in 2016. I wouldn't say it's likely because Johan Blake could almost be like the Ryan Lochte, Michael Phelps. Usain Bolt might still win the 100, but the chances that he beats Blake in both events again are something, as he isn't. I think he's in his prime right now. The chances that in 4 years he still is able to run like this over some of the... It was a stacked field that he's still able to run like this in the 100 and the 200. Not necessarily likely, so maybe Johan Blake becomes kind of like what Ryan Lochte is, and Usain Bolt's still able to win one, add on to his legacy, and really if he wins another one, pretty much for me cements that he probably is the greatest sprinter of all time.
Hello, what's up everybody on the Real Sports Talk? What's good on the internet? What's good in life? What's good in sports? I'm Akeem Balaam, aka Li495. So, I guess you can say revenge or payback, if you will, is spelled USWNT, as in the United States Women's National Team, which just defeated Japan in the gold medal game at the new Wembley Stadium in London to win gold by a final score of 2-1, and they are your gold medalists in women's football, or women's soccer, if you will, for these Olympics. Stop me again if you've heard this in the past. Team USA women's basketball has won gold. Okay, you should be stopping me right about now. Okay, I've been stopped, so I'm just about to go ahead and just end this video. So once again, until next time. But really, it is a familiar thing to hear because it's the 5th straight occurrence of this happening. What's good is the United States men's basketball team. Team USA, once again, winning gold, successfully defending their gold medal from Beijing after defeating Spain in this year's gold medal game by a final score of 107-100. Kevin Durant, all those 3-pointers and 30 points as it turned out at the end of that game, in addition to 9 rebounds. LeBron James capping off a banner 2012 year in basketball, and there's still this upcoming NBA season, of course, to go. And I think we learned something this year between the NBA season and between these Olympics that we just witnessed. It's pretty obvious who the 2 best players, we knew this going into, but this is just a referendum once again between this past shortened NBA season and these Olympics. It's pretty obvious who the 2 best players are going into the future in basketball, rather LeBron James and Kevin Durant. So once again, congratulations.
I'm pumped. You guys know I'm a big Sixers fan, and while the biggest reason I'm happy about this deal is the fact that Dwight Howard, the Dwight Mirror, is finally over. I would assume Dwight Howard will stay in LA. I mean, who knows with what Dwight Howard's done. Maybe he'll decide in a few months he doesn't like being in LA. But for at least a few months, I can stop talking about Dwight Howard. I am pumped about that. I'm pumped that the Sixers got rid of Andre Iguodala's contract. And I'm even more pumped that Andrew Bynum is taking his talents to South Philly. And I watched this play, and it's not even close. I mean, Jennings picked the ball off. First off, Golden Tate. What do you have to do to get a pass interference call with these refs? I mean, honestly, Golden Tate could have 360 flip kicked him, and they wouldn't have called anything. So that was the first thing. It should have just been offensive pass interference. That's the end of that. Then they both go up, they both touch the ball a little bit, but Jennings clearly has the ball, and they go down, and then Golden Tate, I mean, I'm not blaming Golden Tate. This was smart. He tries to rip it back, and they call it a tie. They say, like in baseball, it's a tie at first base, tie goes to the runner. In this case, they say tie goes to the receiver. The Seahawks win. And if it was just that, even though the ref was standing right there, okay, maybe, you know what, human error, you screw up really badly. You had replay to go to after this tweet, or after this play happened, and they still got it wrong. It's a complete black eye for the NFL. It looks awful. It wasn't even close. If you're standing there and you could not see that Jennings picked that off and the game should have been over there, then man, you sure as hell should not be a ref in the NFL. So Derek Jeter goes to his left, just completely rolls his ankle, just flips the ball over to Robinson Cano so no one can go anywhere. He ends up, he has a fractured ankle. He will be done for the playoffs. This is just... Yo guys, what's going on? I'm Tim along with Justin, and the San Francisco Giants are the 2012 World Champions after sweeping the Detroit Tigers in the World Series. Sergio Romo strikes out Miguel Cabrera looking on the final out, and the San Francisco Giants are World Champions for the second time in 3 years. Justin, your dad works in the Giants organization. You're a Giants fan. How pumped are you right now, bro?
Dude, I've never been so pumped in my life. Like you said, we won the World Series again. I am ecstatic. You saw me, you heard me freaking scream at the top of my lungs. My parents were sleeping in the other room. They probably were like, oh my god, I guess the Giants won the series. Guys, I am excited right now. Looking at the MVP, you can think about two people. It's going to be a close one. It's either going to be Marco Scudero, Pablo Sandoval. I think it's going to be Pablo Sandoval winning this. This guy had a hell of a playoffs, but you know what? Give credit where credit is due to Marco Scudero. I was thinking about this pickup from the Colorado Rockies. I was like, oh my god, it's Marco Scudero. He's not going to do anything because he's old. He's a little, I don't want to say washed up, but you know what? Marco Scudero proved me wrong. I'm glad to have this guy with the San Francisco Giants. I'm pumped. Thank you, God. World Series 2012, it's us, baby, the San Francisco Giants.
But big NBA news that went down last night. I wasn't able to do a video on it last night, but I'm going to bring it to you right now. James Harden has been traded to the Houston Rockets, a team that has been trying to get another big star in there for quite some time now.
Breaking news today, coming out of thick air, the Toronto Blue Jays are set to acquire Josh Johnson, Jose Reyes, Mark Burley, John Buck, and Emilio Bonifacio from the Toronto, they're going to be going to the Toronto Blue Jays, and in exchange for those all-star players, you're going to get Yunel Escobar, Danny Hectavaria, he's a shortstop prospect, pitchers Henderson Alvarez, and also a big package of possible players here. JP Antietam could be going, Bobby Wilson or Jeff Mathis. Tim, this trade's coming out of thin air. What do you think of this trade?
It's absolutely incredible. It's terrible for baseball in a lot of ways, but it's also incredible to watch this happen. Tim Kelly, this is The Real Sports Talk. Thank you for tuning in. Follow me on Twitter at CashKelly_TRSD and check out TheRealSportsTalk.com. A night ago, not only could people not tell you who Jack Taylor is, but no one can tell you where the hell Grinnell University is, and a day later, Jack Taylor and Grinnell University are catching headlines across not only ESPN, but Fox News, CNN, CNBC, all the big news stations are leading off with Jack Taylor and Grinnell University, as Jack Taylor last night set a school record, obviously, and an NCAA record with 138 points. Armor, our TRST college football analyst here with us today. Notre Dame, who came into the season unranked, defeats USC tonight in the Coliseum 22-13, and Notre Dame came into the season unranked, USC came in at number 1, and now the scripts are flipped. Notre Dame is number 1, undefeated. They're not in a conference, so they don't have to worry about playing a conference title game. They punched a ticket tonight to the national title game. This show's about sports, but really the event that I'm about to talk about I may only be talking about it because it involves an athlete, but quite honestly, it is way bigger than sports, and it reminds you that sports, they're a game, everyone's passionate about it, we live vicariously through these stars, but these are humans too, and they're going to make mistakes, and they're going to do some awful things, and that's what happened this morning. Chiefs linebacker Javon Belcher shot his girlfriend this morning, and then he drove to the Chiefs practice facility at Arrowhead Stadium, and in front of head coach Romeo Crennel and GM Scott Pioli, it sounds like from what I've read is that he was kind of sitting in his car, and basically the teammates noticed that he was kind of looking a little strange, like something was up. So it got to the point where Javon Belcher was at like the front door of the Chiefs practice facility. He was talking to Scott Pioli and Romeo Crennel, and he thanked them for what they had done for him, turned, and then he shot himself. Yo guys, what's going on? I'm Tim Kelly. This is The Real Sports Talk. Thank you for tuning in. Huge MLB breaking news. Josh Hamilton, we heard rumors all week. The Phillies had made an offer. The Mariners were in. It still sounded like he was going to head back to Texas. And then for the second straight off season, the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim have swooped in to sign the prize free agent in the off season. They pick up Josh Hamilton on a 5-year, $125 million deal. Now,
2012 was an amazing sports year that saw so many legendary performances. We've gone on and on about LeBron James, but we'd be remiss not to talk about what Michael Phelps and Usain Bolt accomplished at the London 2012 Olympics this year. And not to mention what we saw out of Jack Taylor of Grinnell University dropping 138 points in one game. 2012 was one of the most fun sports years you can remember. Looking forward to 2013, we might not have the Olympics or Euro 2012, but we do have the World Baseball Classic, and we have a lot to look forward to next season. Can Kevin Durant get over the hill and get that first title? Can the San Francisco Giants make it 3 titles in 4 years? What happens between Alabama and Notre Dame? It's set to be an incredible sports year, and I hope that you take the journey with us here on the Real Sports Talk Network.